So last week, at the same time, we asked that you send your thoughts and prayers for a longtime member, Valerie Tanswell. As most of you have heard by now, Valerie passed later that day after a brief but very serious illness. So in our 21 years of being a chapter, we've never lost an active member, so this is a first for the chapter. Many of you have known and become friends with Valerie in her 7 years as a chapter member. Even many of the newer members that I spoke to or have posted mentioned that Valerie was always the first person that reached out to them to do a one-on-one and build a relationship, and she did that and always made them feel welcome and included, like instantly. So I was asked to take a few minutes today to recognize and remember our good friend Valerie Tanswell. I'd like to do that, begin doing that by telling you about her BNI life, and I'll try to keep it brief, but it's going to take a few minutes at least.
Take your time.
So, she joined our chapter in June of 2017. She came to us with many years of marketing experience, and her category was website design. In April 2019, she took a leap of faith. Because of being in this chapter, she knew that she could take this leap of faith and land safely. She decided that with the help of BNI, she could start a new business while continuing to do her web design stuff on the side. So she applied for the pet sitting category, and because she was a proven entity, we accepted that request to change categories, and she began to build her new business. Unfortunately, during the pandemic and going online for our meetings, people no longer traveled, and that business did not take off the way it was expected to, and no one ended up hiring pet sitters. They all stayed home. So in December of 2021, when we had returned to our in-person meetings, Valerie chose to put her pet sitting business to bed and return full-time to web design. And 2 years later, still in that same category, she rebranded as Inception Web Design. And that's what she's been doing, and that's what she has been last year as a member. So when Valerie first started at BNI, she was a lot like a lot of our new members. You know, they start off a little bit slow, they're a little bit shy, they're a little bit afraid of all the people in this room, but she continually became more and more active in the chapter. So we say that every member is a visitor host. And Valerie started off supporting the chapter as a visitor host. She joined the visitor host team. And even when she wasn't on the team, she was always a visitor host. Before every meeting, you could see Valerie. She stood right there and under the television in the lobby, and she greeted all the visitors as they came in. That was a role that she did no matter what she was doing in the chapter. In October of 2018, Valerie was asked to join the membership committee, which she did, and she stayed in that role for 2 consecutive terms, which is like unheard of. You know, usually we cycle people off and they kind of get burnt out after a year on membership. It's a lot of work. She stayed on for 2 years. And then in October 20, while we were meeting online, she agreed to be the vice president, and I was the president that term. She was my vice president. So this is when I really got to know Valerie well. We pretty much talked every day. Her knowledge of technology and her comfort with being online is probably one of the things that made us as a successful online chapter. And not every chapter succeeded and did well during COVID and we were online. But we excelled at it, and it was because of the team that we had, and Valerie was an important person. We spoke every day. We would even meet in person sometimes, sitting outside, wearing masks. Those were interesting times. Valerie then served, so if you look at it, she served in chapter leadership for 3 full terms consecutively, which is a huge accomplishment for any member. So once back in person, Valerie helped us launch the social media. We didn't really do social media. She took over. We had a Facebook group, but nobody was really doing anything with it. She took over the posting. She started the second Facebook group, and she did all our social media posting. And then when we had a nonprofit, a new Leaf joined the chapter, she was instrumental in reestablishing our giving team. So here's a picture of her and our giving team when we first started. So the other thing is, you know how we focus on numbers here, right? We're always paying attention to numbers, and we promote the power of one. Well, Valerie was pretty much always in this picture every month. She was always in the green, she was always up on the stage. She was always doing what she could to support the other members of this chapter, and she did it well. In October of 22, she was recognized as the top giver in the chapter for a whole year in 2 of the 5 categories that we measured, right? So one-to-ones and visitors. By the way, look at that visitor number. That's 1 year of visitors. What's it say, 37 visitors or something? That's ridiculous. She was also named Chapter of the Member of the Year that year. So here's her stats, her lifetime stats. CEUs, 1,841, 1,245 one-to-ones, 65 visitors. 65 visitors.
Wow.
Chapters don't do that in 5 years. Some chapters, seriously, it's growing really fast. 405 referrals and $230,124 in thank you for closed business. That's the quantifiable stuff that Valerie contributed to this chapter. So many of the members that have mentioned online or directly to me that Valerie was the first person to ask them to do a one-to-one, and she really helped them with that. She also, I skipped something here, so I missed this slide. So she was a member of the month, but when she was the member of the month, she was asked about her participation in BNI. I'm going to read this to you. BNI has been the making of my business, and in some ways, the making of me as a business owner. It's offered me not only referrals received, but an opportunity to learn the importance of community and giving back. I work alone most of the time, so the relationships in BNI has given me are essential for my well-being. What a great way to look at it, right? So, as I said, a lot of members said how special she was and how special she made them feel. One of the people that communicated with me is Emma Kamal, and this is what Emma wrote, and I want to read this to you as well. So Valerie didn't just show up for others, she made them feel seen, heard, and valued. Valerie was the kind of person who made others feel like the value. She was a living example of a person who gives without hesitation. She gave freely without asking for anything in return. And it wasn't just about big gestures. It was everyday moments, a quick check-in, a shared connection, or a word of advice when it was needed most. She didn't keep score. She just gave because it was in her heart. Valerie gave her time, her attention, her full presence, and made people feel that they were the most important thing in that moment. Thank you, Emma. That was well said. Took my words better than I could have said it myself. So, this is Valerie, you know, but she didn't just have a BNI life. She had a life outside of BNI. She had a family. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit about who her family is. So this is her mom and her sister. She called her Frister because they were such great friends as well. So this is her Frister Shannon and her mom Kay. This is her dad Paul. He was up in the Northwest near the Canadian border. She loved her dogs. This is Scarlet, and Piper's the newest. She loved dogs in general, but she really loved these little boogers. She loved Christmas, and she loved decorating for Christmas, and one of the things she really loved to do was watch Christmas movies on like all night long. She liked to play backgammon, and just recently she took up crocheting, and that's what she was doing in the last couple of days before she passed us. She was in California, and she was bragging about her crocheting. And then she found this guy, Michael, in the last 6 months or so. She found a soulmate. And they were really happy. They were like in love and happy. I've never seen her so happy. And they were in California on a trip, enjoying life, when she contracted this virus, got in her blood, and she passed within 3 days. So she wasn't just a BNI member, she had life outside. And I want you to, try to think about her family. So she loved her BNI community. We loved her, and she'll be missed. I'm going to finish with a couple of photos. They're on auto rotate. And they're pictures of Valerie and her BNI friends. And I'll leave you with your thoughts for a moment. Please keep Valerie's family and Michael in your thoughts and prayers. There's a big hole in their lives right now. And in her memory, I ask you to keep the spirit of Christmas in your heart. There's going to be a celebration of life for Valerie at some point after the beginning of the year, and we'll keep you posted when that happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting that together. I can't imagine a better meeting than the one that was like so joy today for Valerie. And she really did have she didn't even think about giving. Everything she did was giving. I remember sitting with her one-to-one, and she was so focused on how can I help you, and can you teach me how to help other people? And there was just no thought of any receiving. Like it just wasn't in her life. And that's just how she lived. And I'm just really happy that the